Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Fire danger is expected to impact towns across Tasmania tomorrow, with some areas already on emergency alert tonight. Temperatures are soaring into the high 30s and will be accompanied by strong winds capable of generating ember attacks. Our reporter Michelle Wisby joins us now live from fire headquarters. Good evening, Michelle. What situation are we facing tomorrow?
Joe, it is set to be one of the worst fire danger days of the entire season tomorrow, with strong winds and high temperatures on the way. Now, there are currently 29 fires going across the state, totalling a massive 805 kilometres of fire edge. Now, that's almost the distance from here to Canberra. Right now, there are emergency alerts out for Watamana, Hilltop, Penstock Lagoon and Shannon, all in the Central Highlands, saying they will be put at risk, a very high risk, with embers falling from the main fire. Now, there is around 500 firefighters already on the grounds, with strike teams already formed. But one issue facing crews tomorrow is helicopters may not be able to conduct aerial attacks because of wind and turbulence, meaning firefighters may have to shift towards a more defensive focus. Now, Geeston is one of the towns that is at the most risk tomorrow. We spoke to residents down there earlier today. The calm before the storm. Geeston residents urged to either leave tonight or be prepared to defend, as the worst fire day of the season is due to hit tomorrow.
On our predictions, we will not have a head fire going to Geeston, but there will be ember attack. So people need to be ready for that. They need to know that their homes and they're psychologically prepared to deal with that sort of fire. A
community meeting held in the town today. The fire situation potentially escalating in the early hours of the morning. Adding to the concern, bad conditions may prevent helicopters from flying.
We'll shift our strategy in accordance with what the conditions are. So we may be going totally defensive. That means we'll be having crews just protecting property.
Temperatures in the high 30s and strong winds predicted across the state. Many residents already choosing to leave, with an evacuation centre set up at Huonville.
We've seen what the worst case scenario is. So we're planning for the worst and hoping for the best.
I've moved all my stock to a bit better going where they'll have a bit of a chance, and I've moved all my machinery out onto a bit of clear going, so I'm hoping that if it gets bad, I'll be able to look after it a bit.
Already with a backup plan in place.
If it gets real bad, I'll just head off and jump in the dam, basically. That's my intentions.
And a 20,000 hectare fire in the Central Highlands continues to threaten towns. The areas of Watamala, Hilltop, Penstock Lagoon and Shannon most at risk. Authorities already warning Friday's fire conditions are the worst they've seen this season, but more fires could be on the way.
Tomorrow we are expecting some lightning as it moves across Tasmania during the course of the day, and that will be relatively dry lightning or little if no rain. So there is the risk of some new ignitions from that.
The Parks and Wildlife Service closing Mountfield National Park, the Hastings Caves Thermal Pool and Wellington Park.
We ask people not to go into remote areas bushwalking for their own personal safety, but also the safety of our staff that might have to relocate or manage visitors in those areas.
A worrying day ahead as communities brace for the worst.
And Michelle, what do fire services need from the public tomorrow?
Joe, authorities are urging Tasmanians to be their eyes and ears on the ground tomorrow and report any incidents straight away to 000. Now, earlier today, we did have a look around fire headquarters and spoke to the people who are on the front line of information in this bushfire fight. Michael Breen has this report.
Fire crews are the heroes on the ground, but this group are the heroes on the phones.
Tasmania Fire Service, what is your emergency?
Here in Firecom, they have the crucial job of taking 000 calls, also directing crews and spreading information.
So we take the details of what is exactly on fire and the exact location. Once we get the information we need, we send the brigades by paging them.
Manning the phones 24/7, it's been a busy few weeks for the team.
Okay, so the fences are light as well.
One of their busiest so far, the spate of dry lightning, which sparked dozens of fires in inaccessible terrain. They received more than 300 emergency and information calls and logged 53 bushfires.
From about 6:30 that night to 11 p.m, they got approximately over 150 000 calls, and they were taking over 1,500 radio calls in that amount of time. It was very, very busy.
While busy, that's exactly what the fire service wants. The people of Tasmania actively reporting any new fires. How important is that information for you?
Very important. There are a lot of new fires starting at the moment, so we need to get to them as soon as possible. People need to not assume we know about a new fire, and don't worry about ringing 000. That's what we're here for.
With tomorrow's conditions, here are the important details. In an emergency and reporting new fires, call 000. For fire information, go to the TFS website or free call the information line on 1800 000 699. For road closures, see the Police Alerts website.
We just want to really strongly encourage Tasmanians to look at the information that's publicly available, inform yourselves so that you can take responsibility for yourself and for your family and not put other people at risk.
For many areas, there are also specialised community protection plans on the fire website, including details on the nearest safer places as a last resort. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
There's been almost no change to the high number of drug traffickers nabbed in Tasmania's northwest for the past 2 years. It's prompted a call for Crime Stoppers to the public to pick up the phone and help end the drug scourge.
Overflowing from the back of an unmarked police car, cannabis plants worth $100,000 seized from Ulverston, all thanks to a tip-off.
Yesterday a search was conducted by the drug squad. As a result of that search, they located and pulled 100 Indian hemp plants, and my understanding is that information initially came from via Crime Stoppers.
Ice and cannabis are still the #1 target for drug police in the northwest, but with the warm weather bringing out the crops, police are warning drug dealers to expect a knock on the door.
This time of year is obviously a growing period, and we would expect seizures up to and in excess of that level, but that's a good result, yes.
Between 2017 and 2018, 170 people were charged with selling and trafficking, 2 more arrests than the year before. Crime Stoppers is trying to help police get dealers off the streets. The problem is not enough people are picking up the phone.
There have been some problems in this region in the past couple of years where we haven't had an increase in calls.
Even those on council have seen the impact.
So I've seen the effects of ice just in the community, in certain places in the community where I've come across people that have been on ice, being hospitals and things like that. And it's really quite traumatic. It's quite scary.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian buyers are dominating the local housing market, with almost 80% of all house purchases in the last quarter from Tasmanian residents and less than 2% from overseas buyers. Tony College says the lowered overseas interest could be because prices in other markets have dropped.
One of the really good things that happened in 2018 is that we've seen first home buyers come back into the market, and we've seen about a 20% growth in that sector.
The latest Real Estate Institute report showing over $4 billion worth of property was sold in Tasmania last year. Launceston City Council will continue to celebrate Australia Day despite a push to snub the date. Councillor Tim Walker had put forward a motion to cease support for events on January 26 and to consult the Tasmanian Aboriginal community. The motion was lost 5-7 this afternoon. However, a new motion was passed to review the date each year. A Tasmanian potato farm is expanding in what used to be a side project dealing with ugly produce. The Daily Potato has been mashing up some new products and is continuing its expansion to interstate markets.
Second-grade potatoes are perfectly fine to eat, but misshapen with some blemishes, they're not quite to the tastes of supermarket shoppers. So this Tasmanian company started looking at other options.
5 years ago we started to value add our second grade potatoes. So it's all about making our farm sustainable. So using what we were initially throwing out, we now make into salads.
They're now churning out 3 varieties of potato salad and moving into hot food options. The blemished potatoes hitting supermarket shelves here and interstate in a different form.
We do about a tonne of potatoes a day, and so we're sending out 4 or 5 pallets to the mainland a day.
The company expanding its Sorel factory with its own $300,000 investment matched by a federal government grant.
It goes into the expansion of the production line, chiller equipment and other processing equipment, but at the end of the day it means more jobs for people in this community where we need them.
This has really given us a boost to sort of automate our process. You know, we were just all doing it by hand, so now we can automate the whole facility.
Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
Returning to our lead story now, and the fire danger is set to escalate across the state tomorrow. And residents near currently burning bushfires in the Central Highlands and Huon Valley are being urged to think about leaving tonight while it's safe to do so. Late this afternoon, the Chief Fire Officer spoke about the situation. Let's have a listen now.
This is the worst fire conditions we've had this season. 30 to 40 degrees, high winds, 60 to 70 kilometres an hour. So what does that mean for firefighters? That means erratic fire behaviour. Fire can move very quickly with the potential for embers to start fires up to 10 kilometres away. What's really going to happen there is it's going to go black and they're going to have embers dropping all around them. People need to be prepared for that. It will be hot, windy and dark, and then there'll be fire all around you. Think about that, and if you are prepared to have your family in those conditions, will you stay or will you choose to leave tonight and go to somewhere out of harm's way? Even those whose homes are well prepared to defend against fire will find that under these conditions their property may not be defendable. Go to our website and look at the community protection plans on there, and that will show you where your nearby safer place is, and we will have trucks at our nearby safer place if you go to those locations.
The Hobart Hurricanes have fallen short for just the second time this Big Bash season, outclassed by the Sydney Sixers overnight. The side also losing one of its best wicket takers, with Johan Botha announcing his retirement post-match. Dangerous with the bat all tournament, last night was no exception for Darcy Short.
Short got plenty of that. Hammers it for 6.
Matthew Wade wouldn't be outdone as the pair's potent partnership powered on.
Got plenty of that. What a joy he is to watch play.
Short's run brought to an end on 32, and the Sixers' attack smelt blood, with Caleb Jewell lasting just 4 balls.
Quick on! Dorcius bowls Jewell, swings impressively at speed, Jewell's gone.
Ben McDermott picking up the slack with a 41-run effort, Bailey belting some last-minute boundaries to see the Canes clock up a 176-run total. Faulkner striking early for the ladder leaders, removing Daniel Hughes on 6, but Josh Philippe and James Vince weren't going anywhere as the pair dismantled Hobart's attack, putting on a 160-run stand to see the Sixers dish the Canes their second loss of the season. Import Johan Botha calling time on his career post-match due to ongoing injury niggles, a career which spanned more than 19 years and saw him represent South Africa more than 100 times across formats. And while the 36-year-old South African is disappointed he won't be there come finals time, he's adamant his teammates can get the job done without him.
Position the team's in at the moment, the cricket we're playing, the group itself, I just think it's a good time to, open that number 8 spot up, especially with 4 games to go to the playoffs and not just wait till then.
And it was a day for the underdogs at the Burnie International, with top seed Mirza Barsik knocked out and Aussie wildcard Harry Boucher advancing. While in the women's draw, Aussie newcomer Zoe Hives pushed her seeded opponent to a tie-break in the deciding set.
After claiming her first WTA victory at the Hobart International, wildcard Zoe Hives nearly made it to the quarter-final at Burnie. After winning the first set 7-5, the Ballarat-born player dropped the second set before pushing 7th seed Georgina Garcia Perez to a tie-break in the third. But the dream run came to an end when the Spaniard clinched the closely fought win. Among the Aussies in the men's draw, Maverick Baines beat fellow countryman Jeremy Beale in 3 sets after Beale retired from the match, while Sydney's Max Purcell was knocked out in straight sets. The vast majority of players in the Burnie International are from overseas, which organises a tribute to the tournament's friendly atmosphere and its standing in tennis circles.
Most players have played in the Australian Open last week, so they brought their A game from Melbourne Park here. So great for the local people to come out. Entries, gold coin donation up to the finals day, so you can get to see some great tennis that you would pay a lot more money for at Melbourne Park to see.
While next Monday's Launceston International will see the reigning men and women's champions and their opponents in the final all return to the court. Organisers believe it's the first time that's ever happened.
12 months ago they won a final here, but their ranking has climbed steadily throughout the year on the ATP and WTA tour as well.
It means Mark Polmans and Gabriella Taylor will try to go back-to-back, while last year's runners-up Brad Mousley and Asia Muhammad will be out to go one better. Players from 24 countries will be represented all up, with wildcards to be determined tonight. Dedicated local volunteers are preparing for showtime.
We've got about 60 people involved with the event, so that's from drivers to volunteers that man the gates, to cleaning the courts, preparing the courts every day.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
The International Hockey Pro League match between the Kookaburras and Pakistan, which was set to be played at the Tasmanian Hockey Centre next month, has been cancelled after Pakistan withdrew from the competition earlier today. Hockey Australia is considering its options, with tickets to the match already sold, but the games between the Hockeyroos and China, along with the Australian men's and women's matches between Germany on February 9 and 10, will still go ahead as planned. After mixing it with the country's best at the National Championships recently, Tasmania's top futsal players are now heading overseas. The select group will represent Australia in tournaments which lead into the Sports World Cup.
These are some of the Tasmanians about to receive an international cap. After inspiring selectors at the Sports Nationals recently, they'll soon be kicking even bigger goals.
To be picked for the All-Star team is pretty exciting.
But like many niche sports, earning selection is only half the battle. It's up to the players to stump up the cash to head away, as futsal has no direct funding through government channels. Still, the passion to play makes the fundraising worthwhile.
Work up the court really fast and then get a quick break, score a goal.
Emily will be heading to Italy for her international tournament, while 9-year-old Ben is bound for a junior competition in New Zealand.
Pretty good and nervous. Keep working hard, don't give up.
It's very exciting to know that you played well at Nationals, trained hard all throughout the year.
The only step higher is the Futsal World Cup, and that's a huge reward for local players who can make it there off their own back.
It certainly looks good when you're watching it, and it also feels good when you're playing in it.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening, Ooze. With 29 the high today. Temperatures cooler than yesterday and what we expect tomorrow, but still above average. Hobart 26, Launceston 27, Burnie 22 and Devonport 23. A couple of millimetres of rain at Iris River and Lake Gardner Dam, but both well to the northwest of the fire threats. Strawn 27 degrees, Grove 26 and King Island 25. Flinders Island and Friendly Beaches 24 today, Smithton 23, St Helens 22, Lyre-Weenie 19. Some low-level cloud over the north and east with higher cloud over the southwest of the state. The monsoon trough stretches over tropical northern Australia with more cloud linked to 2 low pressure systems, one near Western Australia upgraded to a tropical cyclone named Riley. Tomorrow, 2 cold fronts cross Tasmania. The high to the east pushes a ridge up the east coast of the nation. Troughs and lows dominate the mainland. The north to northeasterly winds will tend west-northwesterly tomorrow at 15 to 25 knots and up to 30 knots about the south, 20 to 30 knot winds over the central plateau and southwest lakes. A strong wind warning is current from Flinders Island all around the island to Stanley, a small craft wind alert for the lake areas as well. And importantly, a fire weather warning in force due to very high to severe fire dangers over the south, central and east, including the Furneaux Islands. A total fire ban has been declared for Friday and isn't expected to be lifted before Monday. All fire permits previously allocated are now void. Tomorrow, here it comes, very hot. Possible storms everywhere, a windy day, 37 for Hobart, 37 for Huonville, very hot for Campania and 38. Possible storms right across the state, which is quite uncanny really. Same for Launceston, 32, 25 the top for Devonport. Possible storm for Georgetown, 26 degrees with a shower as well. Burnie, a shower or two, possible storms and 24, 30 the top for Strawn, Wynyard 25 degrees. St Helens tomorrow, very hot, maybe a late storm, 37 the maximum, 38 for Swansea, Port Arthur hot and a possible storm and 34. The UV extreme for all districts. On Saturday, fine and partly cloudy apart from a shower over the west in the morning and maybe the east in the afternoon. Fine on Sunday with a shower over the west again. And on Monday, fine and mostly sunny, a light shower over the west with freshening northwesterly winds. Sunny and 27 in Perth tomorrow. A late shower forecast for Adelaide. Also an afternoon change for Melbourne, which will be welcome after 44 degrees. Sunny for Canberra and Sydney, and a morning shower for Brisbane. A little bit of cloud over Hobart. It's 25, 23 in Launceston at the moment and 21 in Devonport. Joe, there's over 500 people out there trying to protect our land, our livestock, our houses and also our lives. Let's hope those 500 people are very safe by this time tomorrow.
Yeah, they're certainly in our thoughts, aren't they, Murph? Thank you very much for that. Well, that's all from the team for now. We'll see you with updates right through the evening. See you then. Bye-bye.